So, you were scrolling through Twitter the other day, and you come across another Sony exclusive that's being ported to PC. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Game in question is Sackboy, which I legit forgot came out until I saw the tweet, and for that reason I really wasn't expecting much backlash. After the Last of Us and Spider-Man PC ports caused such a fallout, I figured the Sony faithful had, gotten it all out of their systems, but apparently there are still people out there fighting the good fight. And good fight is in air quotes. I never played Little Big Planet back in the day, and like I've said a million times, more people getting to play more games is always a good thing, and Sony expanding their audience to include people who may not own their hardware is good for them as well. Literally everybody wins by them doing this. But as is per usual at this point, there's still a legion of people treating Sony exclusives like deities who can never be experienced by anyone who doesn't want to buy their latest plastic box. Doesn't matter that Sony has been doing major PC ports for a couple years now. Doesn't matter that the Little Big Planet IP is so dead that they completely dropped it from the title. All that matters to these people is Sony is God, the PlayStation should control the entire industry, and if you call them a cult, somehow you're the weird one. Now, shall we begin? Not everything on PC. Keep AAA games exclusive to PS5 console, please. Okay, you realize this game wasn't exclusive to PS5, right? Like, this game launched on the PS4. Not that it should matter in the slightest, but if you're demanding PS5 exclusivity from every Sony game, you should have already been upset about Sackboy. The people who cause the biggest stink about these things are the people who barely even pay attention, I swear to God. Like, you're whining about Sony bringing games to other platforms that aren't the PS5. This game already existed on a platform that wasn't the PS5. But why would I expect any kind of Google ability from someone who just impulsively tweets at Sony that they're making the wrong decision with their favorite brand? Just grow up. At the pace that you are releasing PC ports, there won't be a reason to own a PlayStation console soon. There are more PlayStation games releasing on PC this fall and winter than on your console, so much for building our biggest ever platform, but without exclusives. Okay, literally nothing in that graphic that you shared here says, it's like literally nothing in there says they're keeping console exclusivity. So there's that. But also, this isn't a bunch of game releases. It's a bunch of game ports. Huge difference. Huge difference. Aren't you guys the same people who are always whining about, don't go day and date, don't do day and date, don't do releases? These aren't new releases, they're ports. But fucking excuse me for actually paying attention to what's going on. Also, you realize that Sony releasing their games on more platforms gets them more money and expands their player base, which in turn makes the PlayStation brand bigger. Right? Like, there's literally nothing contradictory about that graphic you showed and reducing the number of console exclusives. Nothing contradictory there. They say they're building their biggest ever platform. So, why wouldn't they expand the user base? If they're really trying to, quote, build their biggest ever platform, why wouldn't they port games to another platform that doesn't directly compete with them and expand their user base? Like, genuinely, why would they not do that? We need some PS5 only games.
Miss Brandt?
Yes.
Get me a violin.
Why doesn't PS5 get widescreen and 120 FPS? So PC is now the best place to play PlayStation games? That's just sad. Correction, the PC is the best place to play first-party Sony games. You don't play PlayStation on PC, unless it's through an emulator. But there I go being a PC elitist again.
Oh, look. Here I go again.
But to answer your question, why doesn't PS5 get widescreen and 120 FPS? Because the PS5 is locked hardware, with very little customizability in the gameplay and the way that software functions on it. If you want these games to be played with higher standards, maybe you should get a machine that allows you to experience higher standards. Selling my PS5 now. Yes, this is where you draw the line. Sackboy. Not God of War, not Uncharted, not The Last of Us. Fucking Sackboy. That's the golden idol you're not allowed to touch. Like, listen, you can have Kratos, you can have Uncharted, you can have Spider-Man, but if you fucking touch Sackboy, I'm gonna fucking grab your sack, boy. I'm sorry. That was dumb. I'm cutting that. Uncharted and Sackboy in October. Miles Morales in November. Spider-Man last month. Returnal in the near future. Sony has been spoiling us this year. It's almost too much to keep up with. And yet, it still all remains stuff that's several years old and has been played by millions of PS4 and 5 owners already. Why do you have the best Disney princess as your profile picture? Your name is Dennis. There we go again with the whole, oh, this game, it's old. It's already been played by millions of PlayStation. Did you hear that? It's a garbage truck. They're coming for me. That's where I belong, in the garbage truck. But here we go again with the classic, oh, this game's already been played by everybody. You just, fucking something sloppy seconds. If all of the PlayStation community has already played this game, why can't another community play it now? If you're done with it, why shouldn't we have it? And also, if the game is several years old, and that somehow diminishes its quality, do you think that maybe says more about the game than anything else? If this game that came out, when did Sackboy come out? Like 2020, 2021? It's not a very old game. But if in that amount of time, the game became irrelevant to you or became unimportant to you, maybe the game wasn't that good. I'm not at all saying that is actually what's happening here. I'm not actually saying that, the game is older and now it's not good. But I'm saying when people make this argument, that is effectively what they're saying. They're saying, oh, we don't care about this game because it's a few years old. I still care about games that are many years old because those games are really good and they stand the test of time. I still actively play Super Smash Bros. Melee, a game that's only a few years younger than me, and I still absolutely adore it. If a game that came out a few years ago is now getting points knocked off of its reputation simply because of its age, I think that says more about the game than anything else. And it's a very inaccurate way to judge games, and it's also just a really shithead way of keeping games off of other platforms. PlayStation Console is dying. You spelled dying wrong, are you kidding me? PlayStation Console is dying right in front of our eyes. Been PlayStation since the literal beginning, and I'm going to start taking steps to leave the ecosystem. I draw the line at Little Big Planet going multi-platform. I've had enough. Again, with people drawing the line at fucking Little Big Planet. Where was the Little Big Planet community before this? I haven't heard shit about Little Big Planet or Sackboy since I was in middle school, since the PS3. Oh, but now we're drawing the line. Now we're drawing the line. Again, Kratos, you can have him. Ellie, you can have her. Sackboy, you sit the fuck back down, PC players. One more. These are not even PlayStation games. That's right, they're multi-platform games. These are just games, and I hate to say it, but I feel like there will come a day when whatever so-called PlayStation hardware you have will have the same fate as every previous console, especially if we're losing our exclusives. What the fuck does that mean? We'll have the same fate as every previous console. You realize that previous consoles were more successful than the PS5, right? Or do you mean that it's going to suffer the same fate as previous consoles, meaning the hardware is now completely outdated and completely unsupported, and now those games are living on through the PC, a platform that does not just stop existing because a company willed it to? Is that what you're saying? It doesn't seem to be what you're saying, because you seem to be upset about losing your exclusives, even though right before being upset about that, you didn't even realize that you were making an argument for PC ports. Unbelievable. I'll say it again. More games coming to more platforms is always good, and console exclusive games going to the PC is also always good because it means that game is going to be preserved beyond the generation that it was released exclusively for. Once the game is on the PC, it is no longer up to Sony whether or not they want to support it, because the game is now officially preserved. How many first-party PS3 games or PS3 exclusive games can you still play on the PS5? How about PS2 games or PS1 games? Unless a game is preserved on a platform that is not time-locked by one corporate overlord, it is not truly preserved. So if you really enjoy these games, if you really love these games, why don't you want more people to play them? Why don't you want them to be preserved for the future? Unless you don't actually care about the game, and you just care about the Sony logo. You just care about the PlayStation logo. To quote my favorite video of all time, grow up, bro. Grow up.